On Thanksgiving morning in Bluefield, West Virginia, families were in their kitchens preparing for the holiday. But just 50 feet below the surface, a 17-year-old girl was unexpectedly trapped in the pitch-black dark. Kayla Lynn Malabone was on her first real caving trip. Her guides, Leslie and Tom, specifically chose Clay Cave because it lacked dangerous vertical drops or complex rope work. For experienced cavers, this was a safe entry-level route. But traversing it required a specific movement, a technique called canyoning. To move downward and sideways through a narrow slot, a caver must brace their body weight against opposing rock walls. When Kayla slipped, she dropped into a lower section. As this cross-section shows, her lower body became wedged perfectly between a sloping wall and a fist-sized rock spur. That small piece of stone locked her entirely in place. Because Clay Cave was classified as beginner-friendly, it created an illusion of safety. There was no dramatic fall, but the physical geometry of the rock created an inescapable trap. Kayla remained pinned in that highly compressed posture for hours. While Tom climbed back to the surface to call 911, she endured the psychological toll of complete isolation in the dark. When rescue crews arrived, they faced a severe spatial challenge. They couldn't simply pull her upward. Instead, they had to rotate personnel in and out of the cramped space, manually striking that single rock spur with a hammer and chisel. Every millimeter mattered. The rescuers cut away her outer layers of clothing, reducing her physical profile just enough so her body could bypass the remaining stone. After several hours of confinement, the passage opened up enough for extraction. Kayla was finally freed, and she walked out of Clay Cave under her own power. She survived because the horizontal environment forgave the physical error. The cave held her tight, but it granted rescuers the hours they needed to intervene. Less than a month later, a vastly different scenario unfolded in Mexico. 41-year-old Alejandro Vera Morales was an expert instructor, leading 27 students from a UNM University Exploration Club, anchored here at their Central Library campus. They weren't navigating a tight horizontal squeeze. As this aerial view of the massive Hoya de las Guaguas sinkhole shows, the group was facing a 150-meter sheer vertical drop. Standard vertical caving protocol dictated the order of operations. The 27 students successfully rappelled down the shaft first, while Alejandro stayed at the top to oversee the systems. This highlights a specific psychological hazard of leadership. An instructor's attention is focused almost entirely outward, constantly checking on others, which makes it incredibly easy to neglect their own immediate safety setup. The immense responsibility that made Alejandro the ultimate safety net for his students left him entirely without one when it was finally his turn to descend. Alejandro clipped into the rope, stepped over the edge, and instantly detached. He fell 150 meters to his death. For the 27 students waiting below, a technical training exercise instantly turned into a body recovery operation. The subsequent investigation revealed the exact mechanical failure. Look closely at the threaded locking mechanism on the gear in this photo. Alejandro's entire rope system failed because a single carabiner gate had not been locked. This technical animation illustrates the mechanical physics of that failure. If a carabiner gate is left unlocked, the wrong lateral pressure or rope movement can force it to swing open, allowing the rope line to slip out entirely. A horizontal cave gives you hours to chisel away a mistake. A vertical abyss turns a millimeter of unlocked metal into an unrecoverable fatality. These two incidents present a stark physical contrast. A beginner was trapped by a fist-sized piece of stone, while a master caver was killed by a shifting piece of metal. Both disasters stem from the exact same psychological root, the illusion of safety. It happens when we underestimate an easy route or overestimate our own routine expertise. High-level training and experience are absolutely critical, but they cannot replace the necessity of a redundant final safety check before crossing the threshold. The underground is entirely indifferent to skill, age, or intent. Surviving it ultimately depends not just on conquering the physical environment, but on conquering human complacency.